Mm. Mm. We are going to start in 5 minutes, so prepare your coffee, tea, whatever you want. Get ready. Schnaps, Elizabeth.
No, I don't need. Hello. Wow.
Hello, Guru Raj. Nice tree behind you.
Nice tree, really. So
Created.
Handmade, right?
Yes. Yes, nice to see you. Nice to see you. Good.
Likewise.
Yeah.
Good morning, everybody. Marina from South Africa.
Hello, Marina.
Hello. Hello.
Hello. How are you? Hello,
Morning. Good
everybody.
morning.
You know that Dr. Kortkov is on the way to South Africa now.
Really?
Yes, in the
Oh,
airport now.
where in South Africa? Cape Town, Johannesburg,
I think, yes, in Cape Town. So,
Cape Town. Oh, good. What is he going to do here?
um, some conference, some meetings, I don't know exactly.
That's good to hear. First time?
No.
No,
For him,
no,
not the first time.
not the first time. Okay, it's good to know.
So you can contact him by
I think
email and
yes, I
ask.
think I will.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I think I can tell my students, Dr. Yashoda and other people from South Africa. They should
Yes,
they are as well eager to
lovely.
meet Dr. Korotko.
Yeah,
Mhm.
definitely.
Okay. Mhm. Okay. Couple of more minutes and we will start.
Hello, everybody. Hello, Elizabeth. Beginning today.
Hola Elizabeth,
Hello, Graciela.
¿cómo
Hello.
van?
Hello,
Aquí
Sarah.
es
Good
muy
morning.
temprano, es muy temprano y hace mucho frío.
Yeah, in Brazil too. Very cold, very cold.
Sí, sí. Somos los puntuales. No hay nadie. Está aquí. Francis. Dimitri.
Hola,
Hola.
¿cómo estás?
Bien, 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 muy bien.
Привет, Дмитрий.
Okay.
Okay, we have to start, I think, to keep our schedule. We are pretty flexible because we don't have too many speakers this time. So welcome everyone to the 29th Scientific Congress, Science Information Spirit. This time we are again making and holding it online, while we have agreed with Dr. Kortkov that our next Congress, the anniversary one, the 30th, will be held offline. And we hope to greet you all again here in White Nights and enjoy time together finally after COVID. I hope the recovery is full now. And as usual, Dr. Korotkov will open the Congress and start it with his presentation and speech. So let's go.
Hello, everybody. I am Professor Dr. Konstantin Korotkov, and today I have a pleasure to open our annual scientific congress, Science, Information, and Spirit. We have this congress for 31 years. And before the COVID, it was, of course, meetings in St. Petersburg. It was wonderful for everybody. Now, of course, it is online, but it is one of the indication that we are developing. We're developing very good. And today I want to share with you some of our new ideas, some of our new results, and to make it interesting for you. So you will be able to see this online or later on when we record it and present it. And today and tomorrow we have a lot of interesting presentations. So I really suggest you to look and to listen and to watch all of them and to get new understanding and new knowledge. And now I want to share my screen. Okay, so let's see it. Okay, so now I hope you can see it. Science, Information and Spirit Congress 2025. So we have interesting development this year. We have new website. We have a lot of software updates and we do it regular. We have 7 new articles published only this year. We have a new book, The Energy of Consciousness, and I will tell you more about this book later on. And you know that from this year, all my books are available at our website, both at Bible and at this website, iomap.club. So because it is, for me, it's important that you will have it online and read it, that people read it. At the same time, it is possible to buy it on Amazon or lulu.com, and because some people prefer to have paper books. And we have interesting development this year. So you see this graph shows us the rate of our subscription, and you see it's coming up. So every year we increase our subscriptions, and it means that we increase its percentage, of course, from 2020 in the last 5 years. You see we have 175% increase compared with 2020. And it means that we are really developing very good. We have a new general manager for the United States and Canada, Olivier Magny. He is a wonderful person. He is our good colleague, good friend. And
we have to pause it. I can see that it's not sharing properly.
And even in half a year, he was able to increase sales in the United States. You see that in accordance with his data, total revenue increased for 15%, 115%, gross profit 112%, and hardware revenue to 182%, and software 7%. So it's really big increase. We have many interesting papers published by different teams. That's a very important topic. So before, main publication was from our team, and a lot of them had my name. Now we have papers published by different teams, and they are independent on us. I even don't know most of those people. And very important, all the authors conclude that the GDV is an important tool for the biofield science. That's very important. Very interesting paper was published by a group of scientists from Odessa, and they did overview of published papers, very interesting, and they highlighted the studies relation between, they highlighted the studies of the relationship between GDV parameters and electroencephalograms, heart rate variability, immunograms, phagocytosis, the content of the main adaptation hormones, cortisol, aldosterone, testosterone, and so on in the blood, as well as acupuncture points. It is shown that the GDV method reliably reflects the state of the body's neuroendocrine immune complex and reflects the integral state of the organism and its change under the influence of various factors. So this paper was published by independent team, as I've told, and it is based on many studies done by this team and by literature review. Therefore, both the individual parameters of bioelectrography and the bioelectrogram as a whole reflects the state of different levels of cholinergic, adrenergic regulatory effects on the cardiovascular system. The parameters of GDV on the whole are appropriately related to the functional state, foremost thyroid, testes, and adrenal cortex, which in aggregate characterize the state of adaptation and non-specific resistibility of the organism. So you see, it is quite scientific, so you need to understand scientific notion. But it shows us that GDV really very objective tool for evaluation of the state of organism. And adaptation and parameters of leukogram, immunity, and phagocytosis. And you know that we have this program balance, and now it is proven that this program reflects balance between a sympathetic, parasympathetic nervous system. It was shown. And if you look to those graphs, they show correlation, and correlations are very high, 76%, even 85, 90, 85%. So it is really significant correlations. And it's only one paper that I am referring to. There are many papers of this kind. I need to tell that that's important that those papers published by independent teams. So now we have more proof of scientific validation of the GDV system. That's very important and very important for all of us. And of course, you have to refer to these published papers in your presentations and in your own publications. And you can find all those papers on iomap.club. Our next step would be BioWell Mini. We plan to have it maybe by August, September, because now in China, they have summertime and it's very hot and every activity is blocked. Totally. So we are dependent on the activity, of course. And now, so we have to make a break for a month practically. But still, we plan that by autumn time, we'll have this available, at least for our key distributors. And then we'll see how it will work, how it will be reflected, what responses we have. Then we decide what to do with this project. Another interesting instrument that we are producing now, this is BioWell Element, and this is available. This is available for sale. And this instrument, it has big screen. As you see, it's quite big size of screen. It has many installations for different applications, and it is a tool for research. So if you decide to use this instrument, of course, you need to know how to make research. It has a lot of applications and you can use it in different fields. We have experience for many years in using this because we had different versions. And now it is on production line. So now it's available for sale. And you can study, for example, food samples. And we did many studies, many projects with food samples. And very important to make samples of the same size, and then it should be control, experimental samples, and then you can see big difference. For example, this is control, this is experiment for food samples, initial and charged with some specific energy. You can study cats and dogs, mouses as well, and this is a live mouse, don't be afraid, it just sleeps, and we can take information from the tail. From cats and dogs, we can take information from their paws, and it's really related to their energy state. And again, you can see it on different graphs. This instrument has its own software, and it's different from Bible software. And this software allows us to take measurements of different subjects and to calculate a lot of different parameters. And for some cases, it allows to make even a video of this light in different regimes. Very interesting and important line for us is a study of water. And you know that we have this instrument for biowell, water sensor. And it's really very interesting because it allows to see dynamics of water and to see the response of water to different influences. At the same time, for biowell element, together with this approach, we can use two other options. We can use so-named syringe that we have it for long ago, when we make meniscus of water suspended above the electrode. And then we can see light coming from this meniscus. And now we can use another principle. We have special glass or plastic plate where you can drop, you can put a drop of water in with a dropper, scientific dropper. And then again, we have meniscus. We touch it with needle, and we have light coming from this meniscus. This way, we can have these images, and then we have many parameters how we can evaluate these images. This is very interesting approach as well. It's different from previous one. We have many parameters for this image, and it allows us to compare different water samples, and in many cases you have very stable data, very stable results, because in every case we have not only one test, but we have several tests one by one, and then we can compare with average for several tests. At the same time, we have images, beautiful images of different type of water, structured water, distilled water, because structured water is very big line for us now. We have many publications in peer-reviewed journals, Journal of Applied Physics, and other journals. And of course, we are developing now a method of machine learning for classifications of gas discharge images of liquid solutions. I have a student who are developing this line, and it is artificial intelligence approach. And now we can classify different type of images. We now work with water, but of course we can do it for biograms as well, for human fingers. And this way we can make different type of classifications. That's very powerful approach. But at the same time, we had a lot of data beforehand. We were able to study homeopathic solutions. It was very interesting study done in the United States by that time. It was, we can see difference in biograms of different liquids, and you can see it with different waters on pyramids, after pyramids, and we had a lot of experience coming to different parts of the world, to different pyramids, and maybe you know our papers on the energy of pyramids. that big research project that I did for several years. Now it's published, it's on our, you can find those publications. But we were able to study water as well from pyramids. And we can study different flower essences, homeopathic solutions. So it's really very important and very powerful method. We can study influence of different crystals, gemstones to water, and we can see it in dynamics and to see how it comes. Or we can see it in different images. So it's all different approach, and we have a lot of data on this type. So influence of gemstones, influence of crystals. So it is no doubt that crystals had very strong influence to water. At the same time, another line, it is influence of different fields, in particular magnetic fields. And we are developing now this as a new line of study. We are developing special device for structuring water with magnetic field. We test this device with variable element system and with sprouts. And you see the influence of initial water and structured water. And of course, different images, for example, structured water, tap water, boiled water, tea with sugar, blood as well. And with a system of machine learning, we can distinguish between different images and make classification of them. And in this system, we define many different parameters, much more than we have in our Bible system usually. At the same time, water is very sensitive, and we have a lot of experiments all the time with human intentions. For example, we had many experiments with landmark target for many years, and we typically measuring water initially for some time. Then Lean collects many people online, and at some particular moment from different parts of the world, they send their intention to our laboratory. And you see this green bar, this is a moment of intention. And you see this clear statistical difference before and after. At the same time, we can do it in dynamics, and you see it is initial water and some dynamics, and then after intention, you see again, it's no doubts, it's clear difference. And it may be positive effect, and it may be negative effect. So again, it's totally different type of intentions. So that's why we should be very careful when we are sending our intention, we are sending our energy to water. Water is very, very sensitive, and water responds to our intention. So when you are preparing your food, be careful, because we know that there are positive food and negative food. And I have this book, The Emerging Science of Water, that we prepared together with Professor Vladimir Voyeikov, and he's one of the top leaders in water science in the world, and you will listen to his lecture at our conference as well. And we have these experiments online all the time. For example, on the February 1st, Landmark Target had a Gaia session in the United States, and they've been measuring both people, and you see the effect of intention on people. Stress came down for a group of people, energy came up. It's absolutely clear. And they've been measuring with Sputnik, because Sputnik is our very important instrument as well, you know this. And you see dynamics of Sputnik sensor, and it was 1 from 4. It was their session for 2 hours. And you see before and after, it was totally different energy. So it is no doubt that with our intention, with our emotions, we can influence environment, we can influence space. That's very, very important. Similar results was done by the end of last year, when it was a big session on Hawaii with a lot of people who was trying to meditate together, who was trying to do some influence together, and you see again, you see this clear difference, clear effect. So that is why we have more and more data, and more people are using Sputnik, using water electrodes, and I hope that now more and more people will be using viral element as well. Another line of our study, very important line for us, those are study of people's energy after death. And we name it Light After Life Experiments. I need to remind you that I had this type of experiments before, because I was always interested. Okay, we are measuring the energy of people. We are measuring this energy at life. What would be with this energy after death, or at the moment when we are coming to death? And in the 90s, I was able to organize a series of experiments when we were able in medical environment to study people immediately after death. Of course, it was another instrument by that time, and we applied the hand of a person to the electrode. We covered it with cloths, and then doctors was coming there for every hour, and every hour As you understand, this was a little clip about our experiments in 2000, and in both cases, results was very similar. So, idea is as follows. You know that in criminology, they use dynamics of some physiological parameters after death, and in accordance with these dynamics, they can recalculate the moment of death. So, my idea was as follows. We can measure the energy of people in life. So what would be with this energy after death? What would happen? Would we have same dynamics, slow dynamics? Then it would be just physiological parameters. But maybe we would get something more interesting. So we were able in the 90s and 2000s to study many cases, different cases, because we did this research in scientific institute, and we were able to study different bodies, different possessed people. And it was found very interesting results. So we found that all those people was classified in several cases. First case, when death was predictable. It was old people dying from age. It was people dying from illness, people who was ready to die. They knew that they will die. And in this case, it was some little variations, half a day, 1 day, 2 days after death, and then it came to unanimated state like this. Another case was unexpected death. So mostly it was traffic accidents or car, motorcycle, when people was dying without understanding what's going on. Or it was people who was coming along the street, step off from the pavement and then hit by car and they died immediately without any understanding. In this case, it was very interesting curve, very interesting line, dynamics, very big peak just after death, and it was like a firework of energy. And then this peak was kept for half a day, 1 day, and then it came down to practically inanimated state. But most interesting for us, of course, was cases of unpleasant death. So it was cases of murder, murdering gangster wars or different accidents or suffocation, suicide. So it was all cases when people died very unpleasant deaths. And we had many cases of this kind, and it was increase of energy up and down, up and down. It was big increase of energy at night, practically every night. And of course, we tested all our equipment. We checked everything. Everything was fine. So it was not equipment. It was real situation. And we were able even to detect some spirits in the room, because all those experiments was done in a separate room where it was nobody, only doctors or myself who came there once every hour. And we were able to detect some presence in this room in some particular corner, and we were able to communicate with this spirit and explain that we don't want to make anything bad, that we want to make only positive effects. And it was like this. So it demonstrated us that this transition from life to death, it is transition. This is a process. It's not just at the moment. It's not just happens, but it is a process of transformation of our spirit, of our soul, of our informational body into another dimension. And you know that in all religious, in all holy books, there are description of this process, because all holy people, they knew that when we die, it's not just the end. It is transformation. It is transformation from this state to another state. And we, in our experiments, I believe that we can really detect this process. Now we are in the next stage of this type of experiments. We do it with our colleagues from Canada, from the United States, Dr. Raul Valverde from Concordia University, Chet Swenson and Jennifer Hamilton from Conscious Research Foundation. And Jennifer, she is a medical assistant, and she helps people to die. She helps them to be prepared to death, because you know that for some people it's very, they are very afraid of death, and she's helping them. She's helping them to be ready to this. And we've been doing this experiment, so you understand it should be a lot of official papers, a lot of materials done, and she's doing this. She's preparing all these materials, all those papers, and all together we do it under the umbrella of Concordia University in Canada. And what we found that some time before death, usually 1, 2, 3 days, sometimes 1 day only, the energy increasing. So we're measuring day by day, and then we see increase of energy. And red bar, you see this is the moment of death. So it is quite complicated process to take this measurement, but Jennifer was able to do it several times now. And you see in every time we see this increase of energy, very high increase of energy. Typically, energy is coming down before death, then increase. So what does it mean? We don't know, of course. We can only guess. It is very well known to medical doctors, to nurses, that it happens before death. It's very well known. So it's not just, but this is the first time when we were able to have scientific evidence of this, when we were able to demonstrate that this is really so. And it's very important. So we don't know. Maybe it is the last attempt of the body to increase energy to fight with the final step. Maybe it is preparation of a system to this transition, maybe. So we don't know at the moment, and we try to find this answer. We try to find data. And very important that when we are measuring, in some cases, we were able to measure from fingers, and then we see that people can either keep their type of energy in chakras or change it. So you see, in this case, this Anahata chakra energy was kept for a long time, practically same. It was kept after death, immediately after death, and then it became reversed. In this case, it was the energy of Vishuddha. It was kept during several days when people was still alive, and then it was same energy kept after death. And this is another ajna for another person, and this is Vishuddha for another person. So as you see, this is again interesting data, because this is ajna for another person. Because I don't know what does it mean. We don't know. But maybe it shows us that people keep their type of psychological state in life and after death. And they still keep this same type of energy of chakras, because you understand that we now can measure the left side and the right side balance, and this is it shows us different attitude to introvert, extrovert. So this is indication of extrovert situation and introvert situation. But of course, it's only hypothesis. We need to have more data. We need to collect more experimental data, and of course, we need to support this our system, because we have this Conscious Research Foundation, and this foundation now organizes this type of experiment, and of course we need support. So please have a look at this foundation, and then if you can, we would be happy if you can support it. And this is just a part of our consciousness studies, because we have, as you know, many different studies in consciousness.
Can humans find a time when they will allow space for what they don't believe is possible?
For 300 years, science has asked the question, is there a field of energy that connects everything?
Where do our thoughts go when we die?
Someday, there will be inventions in physics, and when they do, you will see that consciousness is energy. What human beings think collectively can be measured.
You have hundreds of thousands of molecules. They can exchange vibrations all over around the field. This is chemistry, but it's a kind of dancing chemistry.
in consciousness, we can communicate and perceive anywhere throughout the entire universe.
Energy increased dramatically.
Distance does not matter.
The field is the origin of everything.
What is a thought? Thought is a particle of light. We can measure it.
Our thoughts are broadcast to the field.
What happens in one part of the field influences other parts of the field in the same instant. And this is deeply profound.
So this is a little clip that shows this idea of consciousness, and we have many different lines of consciousness study. So consciousness influence to physical sensors, and first of all Sputnik. Consciousness influence to water, and you can do it both with biowell and with biowell element now. Influence of people to each other, again biowell. Telepathy, direct vision, mental training, energy of active zones, influence of active zones to people, energy transformation after death. So those are different lines that we did in many years of our study, and very important that you can participate in this study. That's very important because you have biowell, you have Sputnik, and you can do it. And very important, not only do this study, but to have it published. Now there are many online journals that can accept this type of papers, and this creates information space. Because all those papers that you are preparing, all those papers that you publish, they go to informational space. And this is very important. This is really very, very important. And of course, every year we have some new data. By the end of last year, I was again in Bosnia. And you know that Bosnian pyramids, together with Semas Managic, who discovered it, now he transformed this area of Bosnian pyramids to really fantastic place. And it's interesting place. And we did a lot of study. So last year, again, I was there. And for me, it was interesting not just to take measurement that I did before, at the top of pyramids, but to see it on the way. To see how it transformed from the bottom of this mountain, of this pyramid mountain, to the top. And we did this study with Sputnik sensor in different places, and it was shown that really energy transforming. You see, this is sun pyramid from bottom up, and this, you see this transforming. This is outside. And you see this energy is the top is much higher than outside anywhere in different places. Then this is a tumulus, another place again. And in tumulus, it's interesting that I've done measurements at different points, but then it was at the top. It was just nearby hill at the same size. And I came there, I did measurement there, but you see the difference. This is at one hill, tumulus, where it was found by Semas Managic with this with excavation, the tracks of ancient civilizations, and this is out another hill, just nearby, but totally different. This is moon pyramid, again, very high energy, and different place of moon pyramid, different energy. And finally, of course, different active sports, different tunnels. Those are 2 tunnels on 3 tunnels. So you see, in tunnels, again, inside the tunnel, energy was different. So it is no doubt that all those pyramids, Bosnian pyramid, they are some special subjects. And they have different height, they have different dimension, different size, you see. The 3 main sun pyramid, moon pyramid, and tumulus. But it is clear that it is a part of some united system. So all these subjects, they are situated in this Bosnian area, they are part of some technical system. And we had a meeting with several scientists over there, and we discussed this, of course, this topic, and we all came to one and the same conclusion, that pyramids are scientific instruments for communication with other civilizations in the universe. Information exchange without space and time. So that's, of course, was created by some ancient civilizations, that was before known to us civilizations. Now we have a lot of data that it was some other type of civilizations before ours. And we know now that in Bosnia, in Egypt, in other parts of the world, they created this type of technical systems for interstellar communication. You can find a lot of information about this in my new book. You know that I had a previous book on consciousness. Now, after practically 10 years, we have a lot of new data, and I decided to accumulate some new information because I have a special chapter, for example, on activity after death, and I accumulated not only our data, but data of other scientists as well. So you can download this book in Russian, in English, from our website. In Russian, it is published in physical form as well. In English, I plan to make it in some time. So you see that all my presentation was related, of course, to our activity, related to Bible, related to what is done, what we are doing. And you see, we are in the process of strong development. But this development would be impossible without yourself, without all our friends, about all our customers, about all our colleagues. And because you are creating new data, but very important, if you have some interesting data, if you have some scientific data, please try to have it published. You can ask us, we can help you to make a scientific paper, to have it published. I don't need my name to be there. I need some other people to have their own publications. But please keep this in mind. Together, we are developing new science. It's absolutely new physics. It's new science of consciousness. But we can do it. We need to do it together. And we need to share this with other people. We need to share this with the world. Then it will be really significant. So I hope that all of us will be strong and healthy. I hope that most importantly, you keep good spirit, and regardless of age, you will be active, energetic, and your life will be interesting. So I wish you a lot of interesting data and information from our Congress, from our presentations. And if you don't have time to watch it online on the weekend, then of course you can do it later because it will be on our website. So I wish you interesting time. I wish you interesting information, and I hope to see you all at the next congresses. Thank you very much and enjoy your time. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Dr. Kortkov, for the presentation, for the overview of what is going on in the Bible world and about this interesting and intriguing research, especially about the life after life, after death. And we will continue the Congress with the very interesting researcher from France who is doing different experiments with Sputnik and other types of antennas that can be attached to a Bible device. And his speech will be about the scalar wave emitters and checking if it's possible to see something, how these scalar waves generators work with the use of the biowell. So let's go. Cedric was not able to join us online, and he has sent the recorded version of his presentation. So let's take a look what he has to tell us. Let's go.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you, Dimitri, for the invitation. I'm going to tell you about an extraordinary project that brings together a team of international researchers and an ET group from the Pleiades. This is a research into scalar waves and torsion field with BioWell and Sputnik. To quickly introduce myself, I'm a mechanical engineer and product designer. I worked for 20 years in a digital agency and in the same time in teaching and research in biomechanics, additive manufacturing, and industrial design. Today, I'm concentrate exclusively into in activity I started 7 years ago. I do independent research, create and distribute product for Vitality. At the start of my research, I discover the work of Nikola Tesla and Konstantin May on scalar waves. With the aim of spreading knowledge, I retro-engineered his device and released the 3D planes as open source after meeting Dr. May and getting his approval. A little later, in the end of 23, I discovered the Frill open source generator project. It began in April 22. The research is public and accessible in a PDF of more than 230 pages on marcelvogel.org. You see the link in here. Within few weeks, I had read all the research and redesigned the device. I finally joined the research team. The team was made of engineers and researchers from the US, France, and Switzerland, actually. I have added some improvement to the generator, to the connection with the generator we see in the picture in the front, and the overall design. At the left, this is the initial design. In October 24, we set up a French research and sharing group with Telegram. The genesis of the project. Here are the main players in this project. We see on the left Dr. Marcel Vogel. He was director of research of IBM from 27 years. Sorry. This is the inventor of hard disk and liquid crystals. He filed over 100 patents. When he retired, he continued his research into crystals. He died in 92. In second, we see Dan Willis. Dan Willis, he's a radio engineer and former journalist. He was a research associate with Marcel Vogel for 8 years. In 2001, he was one of the 25 military witnesses to disclose advanced alien reverse engineering technology. Dan Willis leads the research for the project, the generator 3. We have Elena Danan. Elena Danan is a French archaeologist and author. She was abducted in the age of 9 by negative gray aliens. Saved by positive Pleiadians, they transformed the implant placed by the gray in her head into a quantum communication device. Then she has kept in touch with them and met them physically. She has written 7 books and gave numerous international conferences. In the 4th position, we see Jenan. Jenan is the younger brother of Toran, the initial Elena's contact. The exchanges take place every 1 or 2 months with Elena's implant. He transmits technology on crystals, and this research are the extension of Marcel Vogel's research. What is thrill? Nikola Tesla's research took into account the existence of ether. Chris Esson, we see on the left in the picture, is a French engineer. He has done extensive theoretical research into ether physics. This gives us a better understanding of thrill. According to Jenan, the ether has 3 modes of vibration producing. First, the matter. In second, electromagnetic waves and energy. According to Chris Esson about matter, a stable particle of matter is a vortex of rotating ether. About energy, according to Nikola Tesla, energy corresponds to electronic sound waves like a compression wave. Chris demonstrates that gravitation corresponds to an ether wind. The ether vortex sucks ether from the earth of matter to generate compression waves, the scalar waves. The interference of 2 scalar waves creates a pressure difference. This difference generates 2 twisted counter-rotating vortices. The field would therefore correspond to a double interwinded helical vortex. This is also known as torsion field. The science of crystal according to Marcel Vogel. In 1974, Marcel Vogel received in a dream the visualization of the tree of life of the Kabbalah and the crystal. See on the left. He was not familiar with this form, and after cutting many crystals, he chose a 4-sided crystal with 2 ends. He realized that the more tapered end of the crystal, in the top we see, here was the masculine emitting point, and the other in the bottom is the feminine receiving side. This side, the feminine side, is at 22 degrees. The angle is naturally present in crystals. This angle is also linked to the golden ratio. Before use, the crystal must be completely cleaned. Marcel Vogel used a magnetic tape eraser to purify the crystal by deprogramming it. Marcel used also a pulse breathing method and his consciousness to purify the crystal. After stimulating the earth of the crystal with his finger, he would send a pulsed breath with the intention of release it. We see on the third picture. According to Marcel, the most profound effect of the crystal is in its relationships and resonance with water. It then becomes an ideal transmission tool for infusing subtle energy into an individual. Marcel has developed a healing process that he was documented in writing, audio, and video on his website. He has led numerous workshops in the US and in Europe. The science of crystal according to Jenan Iridium. Jenan validated Marcel Vogel's research and provided additional information. He pointed out that a six-sided crystal is the most effective of living organisms, like this crystal. The emit end should be at 60 degrees, and the receiving end here must be at 51.843 degrees. We found this 60 angle on obelisks and the 52 degrees on the Great Pyramid of Giza. The crystal can also be cleaned with the sound of electromagnetic frequency of 4096 Hz. Then, to obtain frill, you need to stimulate it with the same frequency using a copper coil in a clockwise and a silver coil on the anti-clockwise. We see on the graphic on the second picture. The two frequencies must be in place. The two frequencies must be in phase opposition with a duty of 0.4% and a voltage at least at 20 volts. The precise position of crystal vortex can be found geometrically by extending line between the two ends. This must be electrically stimulated to open the crystal vortex. The crystal is a portal between our world and the holographic matrix that surrounds us. A correct electrical stimulation will produce frill. The description of frill generator. The frill generator is made up of 4 elements. In first, the Vogel iridium crystal, at least at 10 centimeters in size, with the ends of 52 and 60 degrees. In second, the cone of stimulation. This is a double copper and silver coil. This should be as close as possible to the crystal without touching it. In third, the support, the crystal holder, a support that will hold the crystal vertically, limiting the areas of contact with the crystal so that is can resonate as freely as possible. I have it here, just here. A two-channel pulse generator capable of generating at least 20 volts. To produce frill, the aim is to provide alternating electrical stimulation at the heart of the crystal at 4096 Hz. The prototypes developed. The manufacturing files are available in open source for 3D printing on marcelvogel.org and eolix.fr. Accessories can be ordered to create a free generator research prototype. The stimulation cone must be chosen according to the size of the crystal. The heart of the device is the crystal, and there are very few suppliers offering the exact Vogel iridium size crystal. It's very difficult to make. One of the team has designed a highly compact sound device to clean the crystal. We see it in the picture in the middle. The purpose of this disclosure. Why don't they just give up the technology? Why don't they reveal themselves? The ET positive rays do not interfere with the development of the other, less technology developed species. This is a very important rule that is universally respected. In our case, the Galactic Federation of World has authorized Jinan Iridium to disclose this technology to us. The Galactic Federation of World is an ET military and spiritual organization of several races. This alliance ensures balance in our solar system and beyond. It's up to us to ask the questions. We must work to make progress in this disclosure. To begin with, we'll be able to use frill for optimal health. Eventually, when we're ready and when we're released from the deep state, we'll receive the information to use it as a free energy generator. The frill measurement. The main difficulty lies in evaluating frill. There is no instrument for measuring it directly. In addition, the electromagnetic radiation produced by two coils complicates measurements. Attempts to measure variation in the sound or the weight of the crystal have produced no result. Germination tests were disappointing. The plants exposed to frill were not significantly larger. There is, however, good feedback from sensitive persons. Positive effects on vitality were also noted. Frill production seems to be very low but still present. According to Jinan, frill is detectable by three ways. First, by laser interferometry, and second, by biophotometric equipment, and by temporal modification. Chris is working on setting up a laser interferometer. We see it on the left. I have the BioWell version 3 for over 2 years, and when I saw the project, I think I could make something I follow Joel Trainer Level 1 courses. So I'm starting by measuring scalar waves with Bowell using the Sputnik antenna. We know that frill is generated by scalar waves. If I can pinpoint the existence of scalar waves, it will be an important step towards detecting the frill. The activity level of environment. I'm going to use the activity level of environment, the ELA, to demonstrate the presence of scalar waves. All living beings emit scalar waves. When you receive scalar waves, your vitality improves. The ELE indicates a space compatibility with living organisms. ELE can be measured with a Sputnik antenna for at least 30 minutes. A measurement every 5 seconds is recommended. In Bowell software, the last page of the statistic report displays the ELE value. We see below in the orange zone should be avoided as it induces hyperactivity and fatigue. This is an hyperactive activity. Sorry. The yellow zone is between 56 and 75. It should be used for work or physical activity. We are here in the height activity. On the bottom, the light green zone is between 41 and 55. It should be used for sleep, energy recovery, or leisure activities. This is a normal activity. And below, in the graph, we see the dark green zone. It should be used for meditation. It slows down the metabolism. This is a low activity. We see on the right the last page of the statistic report. This is what we have when we make an analysis. I'm embarking on the 3 series of measurements with the scalar wave transmitter and receiver, the Spooky Scalar. We see it on the top left. This is a machine released by Spooky 2 in 18. To receive treatment, you must position yourself between the 2 suitcases. You see the Sputnik between the 2 suitcases. The device here operates in pure scalar without any modulation. All measurements were taken between 50 and 55% of humidity. A control and machine measurements follow. For the 3 series, I seen a decrease in the ELE value between the control. The control is an empty space with nobody, and the connected generator. I note a decrease in the ELE value, which approaches the 55. The 55 is a green zone. You see it in the graphic on the right. The significant difference. The significant difference from 2 to 11 units in the ELE encouraged me to continue with another scalar device. The Halo, this is the name of the device. It's a portable scalar wave generator published by Spooky2 team. It is a compact and powerful device just released this year. It allows modulation from a catalog of frequencies loaded in the device. I will use here the Schumann resonance. We see that the best fixed measurement, we see it on the graphic on the left in yellow. We are around 40. This is very close to low activity in the dark green zone. When we look in the graphic on the right, we see the last measurement is very close. The Haley value is reduced from 5 to 20 units, which is comparable to the previous device. Usually, EMF emissions from a conventional electronic device will, on the contrary, tend to increase environmental activity, which is bad for all living things. We can observe that in these 6 measurements, a drop in the Haley towards normal activity. It will be desirable to multiply the measurements to the 2 devices, which would enable us to consolidate this result. The evidence of scalar waves could there indicate the generation of frill. Now, let's measure the frill generator. I made out 6 series of measurements where they were taken consecutively for 30 minutes each. 3 series with 3 steps. 1, the control with nothing. In second, a generator connected to the impulse generator, but without any crystal. You see, the crystal is not here. In third, then I add in the crystal. I made we see the result in the bottom left graphic. I made 3 other series with 1 more step. We see them in the picture. I had a green laser light under the crystal. All the tests I made out show a decrease of ALE from work activity in yellow, remember, to energy recovery in light green. The use of the 5 milliwatt green laser improves results. Little improved, but improved too. We just see in the left we have a little problem. The starting value was low, so it's not decrease but increase. This is because the measurement was taken immediately after the previous series. A residual effect in the space is possible, maybe. To conclude, as with measurement using scalar wave device, we see a decrease of ALE to enter a normal stress-free activity zone, ideal for recovering energy. This presence of scalar wave will then indicate a generation of frill or torsion field. In my first experiments, last year, I observed the behavior of the area parameter. I've noticed an increase in the average of area. For photo purposes, I brought the elements closer together. They were more than 50 centimeters apart during the experience. Activity level value vary widely from we see below in the three graphics from 122 to 554 pixels per second. I decided to use another antenna, hoping to get higher values. Genome tells us that in their home, frill generator is used to generate energy. The energy is then collected with a pyramidion. I decided to replace the Sputnik antenna with a copper pyramidion we see on a photo. The values obtained are higher. However, I'm afraid that cold disturbance could influence the activity level measurement. You see the difference are little higher. We're talking about the medium area. So I'm sorry. I decided to add a third step in the experience. The third intermediate step is a crystal alone without electrical stimulation. This is the purple bar in the graphic. We therefore see a higher level of activity than the control test. If we average these sessions by weighting them by the number of the measurements, we have 322.9 pixels per second. Okay. If I compare the medium area parameter with this year measurements, I'm seeing an increase in the 4 stages without laser. We see an increase in the level of the activity by adding the step in the step C. The average difference is 420 pixels with a wide range of value. You see the range is important. I'm saying also to increase all 4 stages with laser. We see also an increase in the level of activity of the level of activity by adding the crystal in the step C. The average without the laser and the control value is 321 pixels. We see a higher value with the 364 pixel laser with a laser. This highlights the increasing emission of biophotons. This supports the hypothesis of frills present. Today, the frill generator is still an experimental device that evolves with shared research. Frill measurement is still a central topic. These experiments push us to go further in our knowledge and skills. in experimentation, in electronics, in spirituality and consciousness, to progress with ourselves. And there we can see that something is happening. Thank you.
Well, even though from the beginning it sounds very strange, all this kind of alien stuff, you know, and all these connections, but the hypothesis is still very interesting, and it's about the science to dig deeper into the unknown, something that we don't know and we don't understand. And I'm really happy each time when I hear that someone is using Sputnik for verification of such sometimes that ideas that can seem crazy, but once you have science behind your back and you have measurements that can be checked and repeated, it's the way to go. So thank you very much to Cedric for doing this research and for sharing with us the results of application Sputnik and his interesting idea of replacing the Sputnik with a pyramid, you know, because anyway, the idea of Sputnik is just having sharp edges, and his pyramid had sharp edges too. Our next speaker is Anton Saskavets, and he will speak about the possibility, again, checking the crazy idea, that sun influence on the person and on all of us, and specifically the magnetic storms. And the idea and hypothesis was if it is possible to see the influence of these magnetic storms with the biowell. If we analyze not one person or 10 persons, but all people who are being scanned worldwide with the biowell. So, Anton, it's your turn.
Do you hear me?
It is yours.
I'll try to start demonstration of the screen, and I hope that sound will not disappear. Let's try. Do you see a picture, and do you hear me?
Yes, all good, Anton. You can start the presentation. All good.
I'm not familiar with this technology, sorry. So first of all, I would like to acknowledge BioWell and especially Dmitry, personally Dmitry, for confidence and help with data for this job and for opportunity to be here. Actually, I'm not a scientist, but I have a degree in physics from Moscow State University. It was more than 30 years ago. I never worked for any scientific organization, but you know, physicist is a physicist all his life. So I'm still looking at the world as a physicist, and I'm interested in modern discoveries, especially related to interaction of people and natural environment. This interest led me to some research, and its results will be presented now. And it was a little introduction. When you look at the cover slide, you will see the sun with a large flare, magnetic field, and Earth that is covered and protected by geomagnetic field like a shield. So this is a reality we are all living in. The question is, does the sun and the space weather influence biowell measurements? And spoiler is, yes, it does. For the moment, influence of space weather became very popular aim of modern scientific research, especially as a reason of heart attacks, strokes, increasing of arterial pressure, and so on. On the left side, you see an illustration from ordinary scientific material published 2 years ago. I would like to pay your attention to the right chart. Just to mention that space weather is not definitely geomagnetic storms, and it is not definitely sun and solar wind. As you see on this chart, amount of sunspots is opposite to amount of cosmic rays, especially in low energy ones. And please keep in mind, there are 5 cycles of sun activity, so it is more than half of a century. On this slide, I would like to mention one more thing. Magnetic storm disturbance is less than 1% of its regular value of geomagnetic field. This is a little bit important. You will see it in next slides. So the idea, initial information for our study was taken from the book published by Maria Ragulskaya from Izmiran in 2019. Izmiran is an institute of terrestrial magnetism, ionosphere, and radio wave propagation. It's part of Russian Academy of Sciences. And according to this book, they made a research of conductivity of biologically active points of human body and showed that it changes during geomagnetic storms. And please note, there are 3 very interesting moments. First, change of conductivity begins a day before geomagnetic storm. And it is almost same for every people, nevertheless, healthy or ill. This is not a mystic, of course, as it takes high energy particles from sun to get to Earth about 2 days. It is 150 billion kilometers, you know, from sun to Earth. And the light comes in just 8 minutes. So our body somehow gets the information about the flare and begin preparations, and probably without informing us about what's happening. I mean, our consciousness. Next point, healthy person have different type of post-reaction comparing to chronically ill person or person with acute inflammation. As you see, there are 3 different curves after a day after a magnetic storm. And third point is not illustrated here, but it was stated in the book that reaction depends on latitude of person birthplace. Not only where the person is right now, but of birthplace. So our assumption was that in case of skin conductivity change, biowell measurements can change too, just because they are related to skin conductivity. And the most probably it can influence energy value. So we decided to examine daily summary data for all biowell measurements done throughout the planet and compare values during regular conditions and during strong magnetic storms. And together with Dmitry, we decided to take 5 parameters: energy, stress, disbalance, cardio energy, and chakra balance. About a period of research. We took 18 days at last autumn from September 30 to October 17. The reason was that it had a beginning without magnetic storms. It is clearly seen on the left calendar. Green days is a days with a low magnetic disturbance, and red ones are magnetic storms. During this period, there were 2 Sun X flares, which led to strong magnetic storms. After that, geomagnetic field returned to its regular state. Please also pay your attention to the right chart that shows the daily number of sun flares and an X-ray background level. I pointed the day of 3rd October as it had local maximum. So this is the beginning, and first thing to check is sample size. As you can see at the chart, it seems that there is no correlation between cosmic weather and daily number of measurements. We put X-rays background period of high value and 2 X-flares and 2 magnetic storms on the time scale. Most important factor is the day of the week. So on Sundays, there are less biowell measurements comparing to business days and no influence of magnetic field or something else. What is important, the daily number of measurements is between 700 and 1200. That makes our analysis representative enough. So let's look at the results. This is the same chart, but energy is now we are talking about energy. As one can see, high X-ray background level at the beginning of October and 2 magnetic storms that took place at October 8 and October 10 and 11 led to decreasing in average energy, a level of energy by 6%. It is marked by green arrow. Please note that this is an average value taken by all samples. What is important is that it is far beyond the sampling error that makes this result statistically reliable. So we can state that it definitely decreased, and I would remind you that magnetic storm value is less than 1% of geomagnetic field, and here we have a 6% decrease. So it's actually an effect. At the end of the period, the energy value began to grow. Stress. In comparison with energy, general dynamics of stress looks literally opposite. Average value of stress increased during high X-ray background level as well as during magnetic storms. As far as I can understand, this is a regular relationship, as stress usually increases during energy decrease. At least I saw it in my own measurements. It is Dmitry to comment if it's not true. Next point. As one can see, average value of this balance does not have direct correlation with energy value, though it decreased during strong magnetic storms. Its value at the time was the same as during normal conditions, so I could assume it was a common body response to external stress. Cardio energy. As for me, this is the most important slide in the whole presentation. Average value of cardio energy correlated to one of energy, having its minimums at the second day after beginning of geomagnetic storm. I think that this is a very important chart as it shows the real lack of cardio energy because of the distribution and confirms the fact that magnetic storm can cause a heart attack. I would also like to pay your attention to the third minimum at October 14. There was not strong storm that day or day before. Probably this is a prolonged reaction of human body that is also mentioned in some scientific sources. It is just an idea. I have real explanation for this moment. Chakra balance. Average value of chakra balance had a little increase during this period, with two main local minimums during high X-ray background value and on the second day after beginning of magnetic storm. Actually, I have no explanation of this. Just want to state it. Until now, we were talking about average values. Now let us look at the distribution of energy value itself. As for me, it was a great surprise to discover that the distribution shape changed dramatically during disturbances. As you can see at the left chart, number of measurements with same energy had an almost Gaussian or normal shape at September 30th. So it's the first day of our period. It's Gauss or almost Gauss, normal distribution. During strong magnetic storm, it changed and became non-Gauss, with a plateau of peaks in the middle energy area. Please note that at this point, one cannot use standard statistic procedures just because they are valid for normal distribution only. It's just mathematics. So we should be very precise with distributions when we take results of the whole planet. They are non-Gaussian, at least sometimes. These are same distributions put on the chart together. They were just normalized to exclude the influence of difference in number of measurements. One can see that during disturbance, the distribution shrinked and lost high energy part. It also formed plateau of peaks. To prove that these distributions are different, Mann-Whitney criteria was calculated. It is very low, so distributions are definitely not matching. And it is a mathematical fact. Now I took days with the highest and lowest energy, and one can see that decrease of average energy is caused by, first, lack of high energy values. This is the right green arrow. Next, formation of plateau of peaks in a slightly less energy area. It is marked with red ellipse. And formation of additional local peaks, they are marked by green arrows. coming to interpretation of this chart, I would suggest that there appeared some clusters of different body reactions overlapping each other, and this makes the whole distribution such a exotic formation, or such an exotic shape. Next days are 7 and 8 October. It's the day of first X flare and the day of first magnetic storm. As you probably remember, average values of energy are almost same, but distributions are different. At October 8, one can see lack of high energy area and formation of additional local peaks again. Interesting that at this day, peak value is higher than a day before. So peak value moved to higher values. I mean, peak value in this chart is the number of measurements. So the most measurements showed energy about 53 at this day. I would say that this looks like accordion play. I mean that distribution somehow widens or shrinks, and it changes its shape. Next chart is 13 and 14 October. As you remember, there are again local minimums, and comparing distributions of October 13 and 14, one can see that the distribution begins widening and its peak value slightly decreased. I would say that this is the beginning of return to normal conditions with different reaction in clusters of human body reactions. As you remember, healthy people react more fast, so they come to normal state in less time. So preliminary conclusions of above analysis are: first, the influence of disturbances on viable measurements is real. It is mathematically real. Second, an average value of energy is decreasing during these periods. Third, dynamics of cardio energy correlates to dynamics of energy, proving the danger of geomagnetic storms for heart diseases. And again, this is very important, I think, to check this parameter or somehow to monitor it. Next point, the distribution during disturbances get non-Gauss shape. It changes dramatically. So, as I think it is possible that this is related to clusters of human body reactions that appear during disturbances. And we see some different curves overlapping one another and giving this complex picture. And the questions. As always, an answer to one question generates next questions. First, do one need to normalize other parameters when average energy value decreases? I'm not so familiar to viral technology as Dmitry or Mr. Korotkov, but I would say no. Main reason is that a whole planet averaging can cover some latitudinal details, and this is a possible point of examination. Returning back to initial work of Maria Ragulskaya, they stated that people, for example, born in Murmansk or in other northern cities react to disturbances of magnetic field much more intense than people who were born, for example, in Moscow or New York or Paris or stuff like that. And important thing is not that not only the place they are locate during the storm, but also the birthplace. Second question, probably one need to widen the period of analysis to have more data during normal conditions and during strong geomagnetic storms. Just because, as we see in our analysis, we did not came back to normal energy values at the end. So probably the period should be longer. And third point, I believe that one should organize a long-term monitoring, taking latitudinal factors into account. Just because of different influence of cosmic weather in mid-latitude and closer to magnetic poles. So thank you at this point. Thank you.
Okay, you can stop screen sharing now.
Ah, sorry. sorry. I'll try to clean. Okay. I found it. Arithmetic.
Yeah, all good. Thank you very much. And well, I can say that this is probably the first time when a researcher has used our global data, big data, of all people in the world scanned with the biwell on a daily basis. And just a disclaimer, the data that we have extracted was non-personal and it was just numbers. So we have taken all the values of energy, cardio energy, chakra balance, etc. So without any names or anything like that. So we just were taking the average values of all the scans made globally. So it's a very, very interesting research from my perspective because until now there are still very, very many medical doctors who point that reaction to magnetic storm is fake. So that people shouldn't react to that, and it's more of a psychological reaction rather than real physiological reaction. And as we can see from the presentation by Anton, is that, yeah, well, biwell proves that there is statistically significant difference in cardio energy and in overall energy of the people on our planet during the magnetic storms and several days after that. So I hope that we will continue this research and we will collect more data. This is just the first step, and it's a very important thing to prove to people how we really react to environmental conditions and sun flares and magnetic storms in particular. Now we're going to our next speaker. Not so long ago, we have presented a new tab in biwell software called Teeth for Dentists for integral medicine approach for understanding that everything is interconnected in the human body, the meridians, the vertebrae, the organs, and also the teeth. So Dr. Neto Pignataro is a dentist, and he has his own dental clinic in Brazil. And he was the one of the who has inspired the appearance of the teeth tab in the Bioware software, and he will share his ideas, thoughts, the theory behind it, and maybe some practical results in his presentation. So we give the stage to Dr. Neto Pignataro. Okay. Neto, the stage is yours.
Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Neto Pignataro, and I would like to take a moment to express my gratitude to the event organization for...
Sorry, I think I missed something.
the opportunity of sharing with you all another lecture at the Science, Information and Spirit Congress, in which I will discuss microsystems, teeth and their organ relationships, and also about the scientific perspectives. Last year we did a presentation of the dental tab in the BioWell system that we worked on with Dmitry Orlov, so that we could relate the energy levels of teeth with organs and the systems. Basically, for that we used the Ryholt-Voll system, who created this dental microsystem, which connects the teeth with our organs. However, I've always wondered and wanted to comprehend how Dr. Voll built these correlations. Many people think this was already expected. In traditional Chinese medicine, however, it was he who created this correlation, and for that I wanted to understand how this was made. Associating dental groups, for example, incisors with kidneys and bladder, canines with liver and gallbladder, and so on. Nowadays, dental care already worries about oral problems, oral pathologies, influencing systemic health, but basically dentistry today is concerned with the microbiota, along with disease-causing microbes that come from the mouth for the organs and systems, thus yielded then the changes in these organs such as heart issues and diabetes. For the organs and systems, thus yielded then the changes in these organs such as heart issues and diabetes, respiratory problems, alterations in the gestational cycle, pregnancy, rheumatoid arthritis, metabolic syndromes, kidney problems, etc. Pathologies associated with oral contamination or infections that migrate to other points. For example, Fusobacterium nucleatum, which is essentially oral bacteria, but that it's oftentimes associated to the Alzheimer's, and its presence in the mind creates beta amyloid, or the same bacterium in the intestine causing cancer. So, this is really relevant, but it's still a very superficial aspect of this connection between teeth and organs. Connection between teeth and organs, and the opposite is also true. Alterations in the organs, such as excess in the liver causing halitosis or an increase in cortisol, causing bruxism associated with chronic stress, systemic inflammation causing or related to periodontitis, periodontal inflammation, you name it. So, nevertheless, you will see, especially in this second lecture, that seemingly healthy mouths can also be correlated to systemic alterations, basically because of the efficiency in chewing. If we have the ability to chew well, to grind food well, That's the first step towards our intestinal health and our general health. The Chinese say that we all should drink our food and that this would be the key to longevity. In other words, we are not what we eat, we are what we digest. And because of that, we need to be able to chew efficiently and be able to grind our food well. There are many forms of evaluation. There are standardized forms that we use in scientific experiments where you have a standardized element that is chewed, and then the size of the particles is measured so that we know if there is a chewing efficiency. This can be done, for example, with carrots. Doing so, we can comprehend and assess how this person is able to crush this food. And why is that? Because if we swallow food with particles smaller than 2 or 3 millimeters, the digestion time will be around 2 hours. However, if we swallow this same food and the particles, we fragment them to sizes larger than 3 millimeters, between 5, 6, or 7 millimeters. Digestion can take up to 6 hours. So imagine the food sitting in the stomach during that 6-hour period. Often we've already eaten again, and that food is superimposed on the other, and all this. It is up to the stomach and the production of hydrochloric acid to try to break down, fragment this food. And then we have, because of this situation, an increase in the length of time the food is in the digestive tract, especially in the stomach, causing fermentation, acid reflux, therefore alterations in metabolism that can cause systemic problems, starting with chewing. So much so that China uses phytotherapy, herbs, Chinese dates, and ginger to stimulate stomach function, increase hydrochloric acid production, and improve digestion for thousands of years. And Chinese medicine. In the same way as acupuncture, they are founded fundamentally in the flow of energy and information through energy channels, the acupuncture meridians, as they are known in the West. And many of these meridians or energy channels are closely related to our stomatognatic system, to the mouth, as is the case, for example, the stomach canal, which has its initial trajectory overlapping the muscles of mastication, leading us to consider that proper mastication is essential. Stimulus, adequate stimulus, so that this information helps digestive processes and control the entire digestive process. So things are all interconnected. However, other channels, like the kidneys or large intestine, for example, also, although they don't have a direct path related to the mouth, have collateral vessels or collateral channels that connect these channels with the mouth, with the stomatognatic system. See the importance of the mouth. The tongue, for example, in Chinese medicine, in Qigong, connects the two main channels, the two main vessels, Tumo and Geimo, governor vessel and conception vessel, which we refer to as a minor orbit. Therefore, you can see the importance of the mouth in the energetic balance of the system. And if we take from the tips of the fingers to the elbow, from the tips of the toes to the knee, we already have a non-localized treatment system at a distance on the 5 elements of acupuncture. So, for example, if I want to sedate the lung channel, if I have an excess of energy, lung is metal, and we know from the law of the 5 elements that water drains metal, silk's metal, so the water point is the sedation point of the lungs channel or meridian. Therefore, the same applies to all the points of the ancient Shu system, which is between the hands and the elbow, between the toes and the knee, as if it were already a microsystem for treating all the imbalances in our body. However, when we talk about microsystems per se, these are more recent systems, such as the ear microsystem created by Nogia in the 50s, where we have the ear represented, a body, the head, spine, internal organs, with acupuncture points that we can also treat from a distance to rebalance or stimulate the body. The same goes for the feet. As you know, we use the Sujok, Korean micro-acupuncture system, to relate the fingertips to the organs and systems clinically, which were evaluated by Dr. Konstantin Korotkov. Well then, so let's not forget that in addition to the acupuncture points, the superficial tissue of these microsystems is also important. So in the ear, for example, we have bed sores, wounds, spots, nodules, we have an increased blood circulation or not, the decreased blood circulation. Thus, the state of these tissues and microsystems reflects the condition of the organs and systems as well. Therefore, similarly, the teeth are interconnected, as stated by Dr. Voll, with our organs and systems, and we can also assess imbalances through the state of the teeth and also carry out a treatment. Okay, in Chinese medicine, in the Linshu and Suen, it has existed for over 3,000 years, 4,000 years. We see passages talking about the relationship between teeth and systemic health, but from the point of view of the 5 elements. The teeth, like the bones, are controlled by the kidneys. So when we experience a drop in kidney energy, we then have a weakening of the gums, a change in the condition of the teeth, and also the accumulation of bacterial plaque altering the microbiota. In other words, it is mentioned in these canons of Chinese medicine, changes that occur in the mouth from a decrease in the energy of the kidney channels, but not specifically relating to dental groups with organs and systems, as was done by Dr. Voll. So we went to research how he made this relationship. Dr. Voll was a German doctor. He had bladder cancer and was discouraged. He treated himself with acupuncture and he was cured, he recovered. Then he fell in love with acupuncture and wanted to understand how this relationship, acupuncture points, worked with systemic health. He developed microamperimeters, which are nothing more than electrogalvanometers where we have a negative terminal that the patient holds and a positive terminal in the shape of a pen to measure the bioelectrical characteristics of the acupuncture points. Taking these measurements, he saw an oscillation, a measurement range in both voltage and electrical resistance, amperage, or frequency of these acupuncture points. Hence, with these measurements, he uncovered a truth. In total, there are 20 energy channels, including 8 new ones and the 12 main channels from acupuncture. He then used control points located on the hands and feet to make this energetic assessment of the patient. Hence, these oscillations, this frequency range, he classified into 3 bands. Therefore, from 0 to 100, from 40 to 60, he classified this range as normal, which was roughly shown around 5 microamperes, 870 millivolts, which would be the absolute point of the system. Below 40 to 45, he considered a declining state of inadequacy, and above 55 to 60, an inflammatory state of excess. So deficiency, degeneration, excess, and inflammation. However, he used 2 other techniques because when he measured the acupuncture points, even if that point appeared to have a regular level of energy and normal voltage and a normal amperage, keeping the pen on that specific point, oftentimes the channel didn't have enough energy to maintain this energy level constantly, and the energy would decrease. And then he found that by actively stimulating this point with a current of 1.2 volts, he was able, through a test, direct check from this acupuncture point, the actual state of this point, contributing to the diagnosis. He also found that patients with specific diseases such as prostatitis, when he held certain substances such as echinacea, for example, so patients with prostatitis, when they held vials with echinacea, the state went from an inflammatory state to a normal one. So he verified the constructive resonance or destructive, acting as a stimulator or as a toner or a sedative of the points. Therefore, he then created a beehive where he tested each element to determine the normalization of the bioelectric state of the acupuncture channels and subsequent treatment of the pathology. With regard to the mouth, he used the lymphatic degeneratio channel in charge of managing the lymphatic drainage system of the mouth, the teeth, the maxillary sinuses. So the specific point number 2 of the lymphatic degeneration system, shows us the condition of teeth, maxillary sinuses, maxilla, and mandible. So, every time he encountered bioelectric changes, in this point 2 of the lymphatic system, he was then utilizing a sensor for his tasks and checked all the teeth in the mouth. And those teeth that had alterations, when those teeth had bioelectric alterations, he would indicate that tooth and afterward examine all the checkpoints of the hands and feet to ensure everything was, in order to see which point was altered, related to that tooth. Thus, knowing the specific diseases and the alterations in the points, he was able to connect each tooth with the organ and the system, thus creating the table you are acquainted with, which was utilized in the BioL system for connecting teeth to organs and systems. Therefore, then he developed a system where each group of teeth, in this case the incisors, are related to certain anatomical structures, such as, for example, cervical vertebra 5, cervical vertebra 6, cervical vertebra 7, and so on. He did the same thing with the canines, premolars, and molars, and also with the wisdom teeth or third molars. So, he then created a table of correlations between anatomical structures, organs, and viscera, such as for both of the upper and also for the lower teeth. Researchers, including Colbert, have confirmed these findings regarding acupuncture points, have a different bioelectric behavior from the placebo point, from the non-acupuncture points around the point, that the increase or decrease in resistance or electrical conductivity specific to each acupuncture point correlates with the clinical state or a specific clinical disease, and that the treatment of these alterations, these pathologies, restores the normal level or the normal bioelectric state of the acupuncture points, increasing or decreasing the energy level of these relative points. Other studies have also been evaluated, such as the one carried out in Georgia with more than 100 patients. This other one too, using 60 patients, in this case 50 patients with respiratory alterations, and 10 control patients. Master's and doctoral studies in the field were all evaluated. So we've summarized all these studies in this table so that in a very objective way, we have listed 4 items to be evaluated. Do acupuncture points have a different bioelectric behave compared to the placebo points? Different from the non-acupuncture ones? Secondly, is the increase or decrease in impedance the bioelectric characteristic of these acupuncture points related to clinical pathologies with clinical situations? Third, does the treatment of these pathologies restore the bioelectric state of the acupuncture points? Does it normalize the acupuncture points? And finally, these acupuncture points related to these pathologies, are they related to the alterations proposed by Voll? So, in all the studies we checked, and we noticed a positive correlation based on all the analyses that confirm the results reached by Voll. We are in consensus with Voll. However, we noticed that a few works, such as the one by Dr. Edna Ernst, she found no relationship. Didn't see any difference between acupuncture points with non-acupuncture points with placebo points. No significant, noteworthy in the status of, with the bioelectric state of the acupuncture point, much less in the treatment of these diseases with rehabilitation or bioelectric restructuring of these points. So we wondered why, and then we can utilize the work done with Ryodoraku and our clinical experience also with Ryodoraku to understand this situation. Many times doctors often don't know acupuncture. They can't understand how systemic alterations can alter the bioelectrical condition of an acupuncture point, and by evaluation methods. Therefore, Ryodoraku, for example, is a very similar method to Voll's electroacupuncture, because it uses microamperimeters for evaluate the source point assessment. And as a feature, these systems also have a negative pole that the patient grips, and the positive pole, which is a measuring pen, exactly like Vol's electroacupuncture, and which also requires a saline solution to improve contact with the skin. So the pressure of this pen, the angle of this pen, the contact area, and also the condition of the skin and the degree of humidity the saline solution provides, leading to important alterations in the system, especially when we do a research with different people, the work. Therefore, there is significant variation, depending on how it's used, how it is, the contact with the skin. Hence, the system depends a lot on the technique used to take the measurement, calibrate the meter, and therefore we have a significant variation, mainly when we do a survey using different people taking the measurement or the same person repeating the same measurement. In comparison to the BioWell, we have been advocating for the use of a sensor for several years now. Also to make measurements of the acupuncture points using the BioWell and the sensor directly connected to the cylinder, and variations in the bioelectric state of the acupuncture point causes shifts in brightness, intensity, and area, and so we have measurement of a similar to the Duraco River for the source points with the use of the BioWell. When comparing one study with another, we checked that the standard deviation in traditional measurements with Rio Duraco is much higher than the variations from the BioWell system, mainly due to its measurement method, skin adaptation, and for not needing a negative pole, and also not need to hydrate the point with a saline solution. This project is really intriguing since it's a work which takes place in Uzbekistan, where acupuncture points bioelectric state was evaluated during COVID, which showed an excess amount with an inclination of inflammation over 60, as already said. And these measures, they adapted to corticosteroids like dexamethasone or the use of ribavirin, used as an antiviral substance. And also, surprisingly, with RNA polymerase nosode. The nosode is a homeopathic remedy where you only have the information and also managed normalize the bioelectric state of the acupuncture points. So, see what is interesting. The demonstration of the efficiency of a homeopathic medicine in normalizing the bioelectric state of the acupuncture point. This is a more recent work done in 2024 by Dr. Federico Miraglia. And he had a very interesting idea because already here in the measurement with Vol's electroacupuncture, we have a very large variation in measurement, a very large standard deviation because of the measurement technique. What did he think? I'm going to use a conductive adhesive on top of the measurement points, and then when I go to measure, I'm going to measure this conductive adhesive. I'm not going to measure directly on the skin, so I reduce the oscillation of the measurement and normalize the collection. So the results were positive and the technique proved to be efficient for the objective assessment of pathologies by measuring the bioelectric behavior of the acupuncture points, also using the informational system, which also gives greater accuracy of the results. Very well. In addition to the system of the relationship between teeth and organs and systems, this system grew with Gleditsch, subsequently suggesting a connection between teeth, which he referred to as an integrated system of the teeth, mucosa and periodontium. So the mucosa relating to each tooth is used for treatment through the application of substances, such as the use of anesthetic solutions without vasoconstrictors, like carbamazepine, for example, or the procaine employed in neural therapy, or even saline solutions that are physiological in nature, which, when applied to teeth that have alterations, produce non-local effects such as the microsystem, for example, such as the auricular system or the system of the feet and hands points, but also the retromolar region behind the last molar. In the same way, with all this in mind, we can use, for example, Lafouille's reflexology, who associated particular acupuncture points to homeopathic remedies, categorized according to the 5 elements of nature. As we know the dental groups related to the 5 elements, we can use this homeopathic system for the treatment of the systemic alterations, using the teeth as a reflex system for non-localized treatment. So let's dive into the physiology of the acupuncture point. We already know that the acupuncture point is a bioelectric structure, and measuring it with an electrical resistance meter, a ohmmeter, we see that the acupuncture point has a lower electrical resistance when compared with placebo points, non-acupuncture points. And also when we use radioactive substances such as technetium-99, and we inject this technesio at a point that is not acupuncture, it remains stagnant at that point, it does not dissipate. However, when we inject technesio at a specific acupuncture point, he goes through a specific channel, hitting the fascia. So, the acupuncture point and the energy channel can be mapped by radioactive substances. In the same way, if we use the needle shapes, specific angulation, vertical or angled, we can tone, and when we find this point of activation called teiki, we manage to stimulate that acupuncture point mechanically so that I get a response. In the same way, Dr. Langevin in 2002 examined how the needles rotate to the right and to the left, absurd or in an effort to sedate or to tonify the acupuncture point being treated. And after testing on subjects, she finds that the point, after being stimulated, the spiral connective tissue. Then, through acoustic and Corstione ultrasonic microscopy, it was found that the acupuncture point became spiral, the tissue became spiral, modulating the flow of energy and information from the acupuncture point. These works were copied, along with all of them demonstrating or supporting this idea that connective tissue can be mechanically altered to control the flow of information and energy. This is also in accordance with Heike's work, which shows that muscle armor, the tensions, modulate the flow of information, just as scars also modulate the flow of information through the acupuncture channels, and can be treated in order to restore the physiological flow of energy and information. We shouldn't think of acupuncture points only in terms of connective tissue or fascia. So we have evidence that the nervous system is directly related to the acupuncture channels. Similarly to the circulatory system, the blood vessels are involved here. Electromagnetic conduction follows a similar path to the acupuncture channels, as does the flow of fluids in our bodies, especially the extracellular fluids. Therefore, we can understand the communication system or biocommunication as a biological unified system, a biological metasystem, thus representing a collective of structures, arteries, veins, nerves, lymphatic vessels, connective tissue, connecting our entire organism in an objective way through low resistance metachannels with high efficiency in biocommunication and energy maintenance. Currently, physics is getting very close to biology through the development research laboratories that they got today because advances in equipment. Considering then the presence of coherent states since energy is a very expensive currency for our system, it suggests that coherent states can raise efficiency on the usage of energy and specificity of information transmission by controlling a system composed of trillions of cells and which requires a system of high efficiency and high perfection to maintain homeostasis, making us think of quantum states or coherent states of control. The presence of quantum states are highly questioned, however. Research laboratories scattered all over the planet today, this area of quantum biology, especially with the development of new equipments, more precise equipments. Thus, coherent states, which Einstein referred to as ghostly states, like tunneling, quantum spin, quantum entanglement, quantum superposition, which it was expected to be found only in controlled noise-free environments at ultra-low temperatures hardly be present in hot biological systems for long enough to have a biological effect. However, with the development of equipment and research, initially in vitro and now in vivo, they prove that quantum states can be related to many functions or physiological processes such as photosynthesis, magnetoreception, the enzymatic reactions, tissue regeneration, brain dynamics of consciousness too, as it was theorized by Penrose in the past, and also bioelectric conduction through the acupuncture channels. So, currently, you can measure objectively, for example, the superradiance of intracellular microtubules. You can objectively measure intracellular molecules and evaluate, for example, photon emission or electrical conductivity. Crystalline biological structures in our bodies, such as long molecules, which basically function like liquid crystals, like semiconductors, they might be the base of the anatomical structure that conducts biophotons, excited electrons, protons, ultra-fast, connecting all the cells of an organism composed of trillions of cells. In this way, information connect from outside the cell to inside the cell using integrins, which are types of molecules able to transmit information to the intracellular microtubules, thus transforming our body into an integrated system of biocommunication in which we have the flow of subatomic particles at speed in coherent states, producing resonances and maintaining these biological states. So, these structures as demonstrated by the Bohan brothers, and after through primovascular system, are very similar to these crystalline biological crystals able to transmit information and energy in coherent states, such as, for example, solitonic waves, which are stationary waves maintained by resonance, and which may be trafficking coherently, maintaining the integration and homeostasis of the system. In 2023, we held a symposium in Brazil where Professor Korotkov and Dmitry Orlov also participated, and where researchers in the field of quantum biology took part, such as Nathan Babcock, for example, and they brought us the latest research related into controls or quantum states or coherent states of biophotons. And also, he replicated Gurdjieff's work, showing the control of biophotons in biological systems, such as cell mitosis, for example, and also superradiance within extensive networks of tryptophan, networks in biological architectures, and also projects like Anirban Bandyopadhyay's, which show that using cymatics, he managed to reproduce the structures of the microtubules through water resonance, showing an intimate relationship between the resonances of the microtubules with the nanomeric structuring, the nanomeric construction of these microtubules. Finally, the synthesis tubulin respects, so constructed based on the resonance that is present as a flow of information within our organism, and changes in this pattern, interferences in this pattern, are the foundation, basis, the emergence of specific diseases or pathologies. During the month of May, Rick Sa and I released a study in the Explorer magazine that illustrates the crucial role of coherent states of biophotons, as well as the possibility of balancing entropy, biophotonics in emission therapies, cell structuring, of connective tissue. It may be one of the answers to the holofractality of our organism. Microstructures that repeat themselves in fractal macrostructures. They form repeating patterns that give shape and characteristics of tensibility to the system in the transfer of resonance and in the transfer of information. Thus, this would be a base for understanding tissue layout in a fractal way, and it is repetitive and replicative, in which the micro is inspired by the macro. Structures mean larger structures. Hence, our organism would be represented in small systems like on the feet, hands and ear, in the eyes, mouth, teeth. Thus, the state, the micro's function matches to the macro's state function, not only for diagnosis and eval, but also for treatment too. In this way, we have the opportunity for assessment through the mouth, the eyes, the hands, and the feet. So, Professor Korotkov, evaluating with electrophotonic images of the fingertips, then created a relationship between specific areas of the fingertips with our organs and systems clinically evaluated in thousands and many people. The great advantage of the GDV technique is that there are hundreds and hundreds of scientific studies carried out, demonstrating the scientific basis of this technique. Many writings by Professor Korotkov and several other writings by different authors demonstrated the core principles of biowell technology with images of electrophotonic effects visualized by the gas discharge. In Brazil, 5 theses already exist, PhD thesis. We are now starting the 6th one, PhD thesis, also at Unicamp, as well as several literature reviews, providing a scientific science of bioelectrography, Korotkov standard. When we put our finger on the 5 volts coming from the computer are boosted with a Tesla coil, leading to a voltage of around 5,000 volts that goes behind glass, and when touched creates an electromagnetic field. By touching this glass, we ground the field. Electrons are extracted from the fingers, ionize the air around the fingers, producing a glow. The glow is recorded by a CCD, a camera which sends the information to a computer and are processed. So a dynamic event takes place, is recorded with a frame that is later painted, colored for the purpose of accounting and evaluation, intensity and area. In our system, as has been said, each sector is related to the system organ, and we have on the thumbs sectors 3 and 5 related to the maxilla and the mandible. However, in a non-specific way, we don't know which teeth. They are associated with certain organs and particular viscera. So, for example, when we have an excess or a deficiency in the teeth and jaws area, we don't know exactly which tooth and which jaw is affecting the organs and viscera, or organs and viscera, or vice versa. Thus, when we relate all the energetic levels of the organs and systems according to Voll's findings, we were able to create an evaluation system where we relate the specific teeth of specific sectors with organs and viscera. So, for example, here we have the incisors represented by the anterior, inferior, and anterior teeth, demonstrating the energetic condition of the organs and viscera associated with these teeth. Therefore, we can analyze every area of each tooth and associate them with the relevant organs and systems. We can check if the problem is oral or from the mouth, or if the problem is of systemic origin. So, due to an imbalance, we can see if there's pathological changes in these teeth, whether there are restorations, restorative materials, or too much occlusal force. We can do bioresonance tests with neural therapy, employing homeopathic drugs or procaine. We can also assess or relate the changes to head posture and the body posture. And we will also assess the chewing preference side along with the chewing function of this patient, as with malocclusions. Research is being conducted at universities. Here at Unicamp, we have 2 pieces of equipment acquired through funding agencies. Unicamp has 2 biowells, where we wrote that doctoral thesis. At this moment, we are about to embark on a new doctoral thesis focusing specifically on assessing the relationship teeth with organs and systems. This is a work in which they compared the parameters related to GDV in relation to the bioelectric characteristics of acupuncture points, like the electroencephalogram, heart coherence, and hormone levels checked via saliva. Therefore, the conclusion we have arrived at is that the outcomes produced by the GDV, gas disposal visualization, has a significant canonical correlation among these parameters and the neuroendocrine and immune parameters, along with the coherence of the heart and the electroencephalogram, showing the method's sensitivity for systemic assessment. Now, we are about to begin a work with 2,000 children of the public schools from Paraná Federal University, run by Professor José Vladimir Fonseca, where we will assess acute and chronic stress of the children from the public net compared to a validated survey, cortisol curve determined by saliva and also by biowell tests. to the GDV tests. We will also attempt to link, if possible, to the data from the EEG and heart coherence. I would like to thank for everyone's attention and see you on the next lecture.
Thanks to Dr. Neto for his wonderful presentation. And do you know that Dr. Neto doesn't know English? And so well, and most of the words he has spoken right now were spoken by AI. So originally, Neto has recorded his lecture in Portuguese, and then it was dubbed in English by an AI. So in 2025, it is possible to give a lecture like this. Just you have to pre-record it a couple of days before the conference, you know. So yeah, thanks to the AI, we were able to listen to this wonderful lecture, and we hope to see the next part tomorrow. And well, it was very wonderful to listen to Neto speaking English without almost any mistakes. And really, really wonderful time that we live in. And it turns out that the last lecture should be done by me. And my topic will be devoted to the lifestyle tab or app in Biowell software. The thing is that we have presented the Biowell tab in our software a year ago, and we were collecting, like last year, and we were collecting data, and we were looking for how it works and adding new features there. But of course, there are lots of questions. People get attracted by the notion that, oh, you can analyze the lifestyle with the Biowell, but then lots of questions arise. So my name is Dmitry or Mitya Orlov, and I'm general manager of the Biowell company, and I will share what stands behind the lifestyle tab and how did we create it and how do we recommend how to use it correctly in your practice with the Biowell. Let's go. I will start with my presentation. Let's go. The topic of my lecture today is the lifestyle approach in the Biowell. Well, we were working on Biowell software development for all these 11 years that Biowell exists. And yes, it was not so easy for people to use it, and people were asking many, many questions. So we were thinking about how to simplify the use of the Biowell for non-medical doctors, because most of our users are not medical doctors, but therapists of different fields. They can be massage therapists, Reiki therapists, psychotherapists, or life coach, or nutritionist. So very many specialties, but of course, most of these people, they don't know what is the function of hypothalamus. They were not taught, so they cannot do properly the interpretation with the BioWell software. So we were thinking about how to make it more easy and user-friendly to use the BioWell software. So not so long ago, we have introduced the new tab called Lifestyle in our software that gives you 6 spheres of your lifestyle assessment with the percentage. As close you are to 100, the better. So closer all 6 values are to 100, better lifestyle you live. And let's look inside. How did we come to this app? I will name all these 6 spheres of lifestyle that we use in the BioWell software. These are environment, physical activity. Well, we have lots of doubts in this name as a physical activity because we are mainly concentrated on the back, lower back and pelvis zone health, I would say functional activity and energy state. While you can still be physically active, you can play different types of sports, while you can still have these kind of problems in the lower back, right? So we are still thinking about potential renaming of this sphere, but until now it stays the same. Third sphere is nutrition. Fourth is psychological and mental state. Fifth one is the regime of the day or your sleeping regime. And the sixth one is the hormonal sexual activity. Why did we select these 6 spheres? Selection came from practice. So from our empirical knowledge. By application, the BioWell and scanning many people, we have found out that most of the people, they have some kind of common patterns. And these common patterns, I have circled them with my hand on this screen as a regular representative of a modern citizen. We can see some sectors that are showing hyperfunction or abnormal glow that we are capturing with the BioWell. So by observing all these things and analyzing people more and more before, after different activities and scanning them, we were able to see this kind of reproducibility of these problems. And these problems are not the problems from which the people die. Don't get it wrong, please. This is the problems with which people live, because the main application of the BioWell software is not for already ill people, for those who already have to go to the hospital and take some heavy stuff, some pills, steroids, I don't know what, antibiotics, etc. BioWell is mainly for relatively healthy people, for those who are still able to do some preventive steps in order to prevent the illness. So they are relatively healthy, so they may have some symptoms or may not have so visible symptoms, but something is not ideal in their life and how they feel themselves. So maybe they get tired too fast, etc. So with the BioWell, we are able to do the analysis very fast. So with the BioWell 3.0, the most recent model, we are able to do the scan within 20 seconds. Okay, just not to be speaking without any approval, I will demonstrate it live. So here we go. We have a BioWell device connected to my computer. It's here, the box. And I will do the scan for myself right here, right now in front of you. and you can count how many seconds it will take me to do the full scan. I'm doing the full scan, so I'm scanning all 10 fingers. 1, 2. Yep, it didn't take me more than 20 seconds to do the full scan. I click analyze and that's it. That's the end of story. This is how fast you can do the scan in a biowell. And then it's up to you what kind of analysis you can make. How did we do it before the lifestyle tab has appeared in our software? I will show it in real time on this case, for example, on this scan. So we had to go to different tabs. We had to go to the tab analysis to see the integral stress, energy, and disbalance. We can switch to the balance tab and see which organs and sectors are having high imbalance between the left and right hand sectors. Those that are highlighted are imbalanced more than 20%. And also we can see which are having the hyperfunction. See, the yellow zone is excessive energy. The pink and peach orange color is the energy deficiency, while the green one is the normal one. So you can see the variability and you can see the name of each sector that gets into specific place. Hyperfunction or hypofunction or normal function. So we will, before we had to, analyze each sector, look, okay, number 6 is this one, pituitary gland, okay, number 7 is thyroid gland, etc. We can go to area diagram, energetic diagram, we can go these overlaying of the diagrams to see if something pops up. We can go to the organs energy and see the tabs there and analyze every system or the particular sectors that are in that system and see how the glow looks like for that system. The Yin tab, for those who understand what the meridian is about. We can analyze the psychological state of the person by looking at the chakras and looking how stable they are, how close to ideal 100% alignment they are. If they are all in the green corridor of norm, you see the green is here, and in this case all 7 are in the center in the green zone, and we can do the psychological interpretation. By doing all of these, plus we can repeat the scans multiple times, we can do the comparison, and only then we can make some kind of conclusions, like what is the main top priority for the person. Of course, it takes time to click through all the tabs, to look at all the columns, all the sectors, all the parameters, and all the values. So you have to know where to click and what to search for in the biowell software, because if you don't have medical education, sometimes you don't know where to click and where to look. So you have to really study in order to understand. And you have to do many clicks and moves in order to do the analysis. And I have shown you on the previous slide, I have shown you these main areas where the people are having those issues. And we can name them easily because these spheres and these problematic sectors are directly connected and associated with our lifestyle. One of the top number 1 problem that we stumble upon in the biowell and we see for almost every person is the lower back sectors, and we can correlate that with excessive sitting, because we sit too much during the day and usually our muscles are not so strong to keep the posture straight and not to suppress the inner organs and not to bend the vertebra too much. and not to damage the vertebrae. So second sphere, the urogenital system, is also being affected by the excessive sitting regime. Again, very popular problem for many people worldwide, because the lifestyle that we live is almost the same, at least when we talk about big cities. We do a lot of operations in a sitting position. Then nutrition. We are eating not so healthy food, not enough chemicals and those micro elements in our food, and water maybe not so pure that we are drinking. Not all of us can drink the spring water every day. And of course, the liver and kidneys that are filtering all this that we consume are usually showing hyperfunction too for many people. Then the environmental influence on us, the air that we breathe non-stop is not so fresh, because we have to spend a lot of time indoors where there's lack of ventilation. Many people live in the countries, in the places on our planet where it's even not convenient and not pleasant to open the window, because it may be too cold or maybe too hot outside. So we have to breathe dead air or air-conditioned air, and that is not so healthy. So that's why the respiratory system is malfunctioning for most of us, and BioWell is showing that too. Another sphere of life that we have talked about is not hyper-functioning but hypo-functioning usually, is the brain area. The eyes and your epiphysis, pineal gland, that are responsible and associated with your sleeping regime. And unfortunately, or fortunately, I don't know from which perspective to look at that, we have all these smartphones, we have all those gadgets, and we have electricity. We have access to the internet non-stop 24/7. And it's quite difficult to stop using it at night. And that's why many people worldwide don't get asleep in the proper time. And that's why the brain doesn't work at its full scope, and it usually shows hypofunctioning. So the lifestyle tab makes all these calculations that we have talked about in all these spheres in order to make the process of analysis and interpretation much easier and simple for the user. It takes into consideration all those sectors, parameters, the chakras alignment, different disbalances, energy values, and stress values for all these 6 spheres that I have already named. And then it makes the assessment and calculates for you these percentage. So what we are looking at when we talk about physical activity in BioWell, we're mainly concentrated on lumbar zone, the coccyx and pelvis zone, and the sacrum area that are directly associated with how much do we sit. I know many people have passed the BioWell scan and they say, oh yeah, why it is so low? The value in physical activity area is so low, but I run every day for 5 kilometers, or like 1 hour or something like that. But even though you run 1 hour, then you sit for 8 hours or maybe 10 hours. So all your running, sorry, it doesn't work. So yeah, it seems for many people that, like, if I'm doing sports, I'm doing running, or I'm playing football, volleyball, whatever sport, 1-2 hours a week, it may compensate the problems in these areas due to excessive sitting. But the problem is, when we eat, we sit. When we work in front of computer, we sit. When we watch the TV, we sit. When we drive the car, we sit, etc., etc. So these areas are getting damaged, even though you play sports and you run every day, unfortunately. So yeah, maybe the name, like physical activity, is not so exact for this sphere, but like I have explained what we are talking about and what do we mean by this area, by this sphere of lifestyle. Then, when we talk about the nutrition, we take into consideration all of the sectors in the digestive system. We take also liver, kidneys, pancreas, and gallbladder. We take into consideration all the parameters that we have, the balance, the energy, and we do the big data analysis, multifactorial analysis, you can name it. When we talk about psychological and mental state, we are taking into consideration the chakras or nervous centers, it's up to you how to name it, the balance of them. Then we also take into consideration the left-right hand dominance, these balance parameter, the stress, and the functional state of adrenals, the energetic state of adrenals. And also, multifactorial analysis gives us that percentage of this sphere of lifestyle. This sphere is much more simple. It takes into consideration just two sectors, the urogenital system and prostate for men. Well, you know that this sphere of hormonal or sexual activity is much more important for men than for women, because through the sexual activity, men do lose the energy while women do not. They gain the energy usually. So that's why usually the energy level of the persons can and biowell before and after sexual activity drops drastically. So that's why this sphere has been added here, because it really affects the energy state of the person. First of all, man. Then regime of the day. How do we sleep? The epiphysis, pineal gland, the eyes, the cerebral zone, the cortex, and the vessels are taken into consideration when we are assessing the regime of the day or sleeping regime. This one, the environment, is also pretty simple. We can do only indirect assessment. So there is a parameter in biowell software called internal noise. This is those red pixels, the noise pixels inside the finger that we see on the scans, and that is connected with the external influences on the person. Well, sometimes, for example, for women during the menstruation, it also increases usually the internal noise of the fingers. Well, it is not an external influence, but a more internal influence. And also, second system that we take into consideration here is respiratory system, because this is the air that we breathe. So, after we calculate all these parameters for all these 6 spheres, we apply weight coefficients for all of the factors and all of the values. Then we prioritize them, and then we calculate the percentage, how close you are to the ideal. And you know that in biowell, the ideal is not 100%, because it's impossible to reach 100% in all 6 spheres. Because we are living beings, still we have to follow the lifestyle according to the job that we have or obligations that we have in life. So that's why the norms for these percentages are based on real statistics. So if you click on the information button in the biowell software on the lifestyle tab, you will see the norms for each sphere. And you can notice that the norms are different for different spheres of lifestyle, because these norms that we have introduced in our software not so long ago are based on statistics, on real scans made by real people worldwide. So you can see that, for example, the Dantian, the physical activity, the dantian is the center of gravity. So that's one of the concepts to explain what this sphere is about. It's more about the health of your dantian, of your center of gravity, how strong are the lower press muscles, how good you're at maintaining the correct posture when you're sitting, and how straight is your back, not rotated, etc. So you can see that the norms for this sphere are the lowest for the people in comparison with other spheres of lifestyle. So you can see that the norms are between 66 and 79%. It means that most of us are living this kind of unhealthy lifestyle, having these problems with the lower back, and it's almost impossible to compensate it completely, this excessive sitting, unfortunately. And you can also notice that the norm for environment is more or less, higher, like much higher in comparison with other spheres of lifestyle. So you can see that most of the people are having quite good values for the environment sphere of lifestyle. Yeah, well, with the technology, with all the houses and all those sanitary norms, blah, 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 well, yeah, it's not so bad as it could be. And you can see that the values are higher in average for the people. So each sphere has a connection to some relevant organs and systems and integral parameters that I have just mentioned. So we have analyzed more than 60,000 full scans made within half a year worldwide with the use of the BioWell 3.0. And for those people who are using the modern version of the software with the lifestyle tab activated there. And you see that based on this analysis, we're able to see where the norm is for each sphere of life. So in this case, you can see the distribution and you can see how many scans, how many people, 2,000 scans, like almost 2,200 scan people are having values. Like the top one is between 81 to 82%. So the norms that we have introduced are not invented by us, they are invented by you, by those the users of the BioWell who have scanned many people worldwide. And as you can see, it's quite smooth and beautiful distribution that we have. So it was quite easy to derive the norms from here. So in this case, as I have told you, the higher the better. Still, we know that there are people who are having healthier lifestyle than others, or who devote more time to compensate the problems that our lifestyle has by doing exercises, attending yoga classes, etc., etc. Yeah, well, just one thing to demonstrate in our software. If we go to the software, we can see that the spheres of lifestyle are encircled with the frame. You see, sometimes it's the purple frame, sometimes it's a pink frame. So the purple frame is associated with ideal. It means that the value of this sphere for this scan is better than the normal value worldwide. So it means your lifestyle in this aspect is ideal. If it is not encircled, there is no stroke around, so no color, it means you are in the normal state, as most of the people worldwide. And if it's pink, it means you are below the norm. And in our BioWell software, if you create a report with the lifestyle tab there, our software will give you a medal as a master or guru or expert in holistic lifestyle. It depends on how many spheres of your lifestyle are ideal. So in this case, the software tells me that my lifestyle is almost ideal. And yeah, if we look at the result, yeah, it's 3 spheres are purple. Let's continue with the presentation. So the next question is, I know many users worldwide, the Biowell users, they do these scans with the Biowell, and the clients say, "Hey, Nate, why like the Biowell software is showing that my sleeping regime is normal or perfect even, while I don't sleep well?" Or why physical activity is so low, I'm doing sports on a constant basis, etc. So why results do not coincide with the client's perception? So first of all, we cannot fully rely on client's perception because the people have different types of nervous system. The nervous system can amplify the signals that are coming to your brain or can suppress these nervous signals. In first case, it's going to be a sensitive nervous system that emphasizes everything, and in second case, it's going to be strong nervous system that doesn't mention anything, like a warrior type nervous system. So a warrior type nervous system will not sense any signals because the threshold is very high, and the person will say, I'm fine, I'm perfect, everything is well, while you can see in the Biowell that it's not so well. And then the results of the Biowell scan and the client's perception will not coincide. In an opposite case, when the person has a sensitive nervous system that amplifies all the signals, they will say that I'm almost dying and everything is bad, la 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 la, all trash. And we can say, but no, it's not so bad. Again, the results will not coincide with the client's perception. And it's not the fault of the Biowell, it's the way we are built. Yeah, there are people that are somewhere in between these extremes, like the strong nervous system and sensitive nervous system, for whom the results will coincide more. So what can we do in this case? There is such a thing that I call it how do you do effect. Imagine if somebody is approaching you and asking you, hello, how are you? Your default answer will be, I'm fine, thank you. Yeah, because that's the way we're built. That's the automatic response of our system. You don't do the deep analysis of all these systems, how do you feel in all the parts of your body, and psychologically, and socially, and mentally, and economically. You just say, I'm fine, thank you, without, any analysis. So the thing is that when you do this scan with the Biowell device and you enter this finger there, the impulse that we are sending is super subtle. It's very weak. You don't even feel it, even though you have heard in a lecture by Dr. Nato Pignataro that, yeah, the voltage that is being applied to the opposite side of the glass is between 3,000 and 5,000 volts. But the thing is that the time interval that we are applying this impulse is very short. These are micro millisecond and some milliseconds there. So it means that, okay, yeah, 20 milliseconds pass, and that's it. You get the response automatically from the system. The system doesn't have time to analyze everything and tell you how it really goes. And your body actually follows the protocol of your mind, because mind is always over matter. Mind is over matter. So it means the body will also reply by default as at everything is fine, thank you. So this how do you do fact can be easily demonstrated in our software. I can show you a case in the database where the person was scanned initially, and I was saying, okay, let's check if your system actually works. And I'm saying, okay, show me the gallbladder sector. And okay, we can find it here. Here it is. Yeah, here is the gallbladder. Yeah, well, the emission doesn't look any different from all the rest of the emissions on other fingers, you know. No so big difference. And this person said, haha, you know, I don't have a gallbladder. It has been extracted a couple of years ago already. So it means their system doesn't work because, yeah, like there is light there, but there is no gallbladder. Why is there light there? Like, it doesn't make sense. Well, yeah, according to TCM, it does make sense because absence of an organ doesn't mean that the energy meridian has been deleted too. So the energy still flows through the meridian while there is no organ. It's still fine. But with the use of the biowell, we were able to check if it's true what person is saying and if biowell actually works. So we have asked the person to do physical exercises, squats, and we have scanned this person once again. And here we see that there is no difference on most of the sectors all around this body, but you can see this gap in the emission, and you can see below that is gallbladder sector. What does it mean? It means that our body, by default, is trying to imitate and pretend that everything is fine. You can call it how do you do effect, or you can call it compensatory mechanisms that are constantly hiding the problems from you. You are coloring the grass into the green color so that it will be real grass, you know? So coloring the grass doesn't make sense, but it's what we actually do by default. That's the way our organism is built. The compensatory mechanisms are constantly hiding and compensating problems that you have in order for you to continue functioning and do what you want to do without, you know, getting disturbed by different problems. So these mechanisms are non-stop working. They don't ask your permission or any command in order to start work. They do it non-stop by default in automatic mode. So that's why when you do this scan with the biowell and these ultra-weak impulses being sent, this answer that you receive is like, I'm fine. Because the compensatory mechanism has hidden the problems from the biowell. So only if the problem is really acute and really heavy, like big problem in active phase, then yeah, even without any other additional inspection, you can see right away the problem there. But what should we do in this case when the problem is hidden? How can we dig deeper? So the idea is that the modern medicine is coming to understanding that health is about adaptation. So how can we analyze the health, wellness of the person without checking the adaptation? It's impossible. So we need to check the adaptation. And how can we do that? That's the only way, is to apply stress. So this is exactly why that scan of that person has revealed the hole in the gallbladder sector only after doing the exercises of those squats. Because the blood flow, the energy flow went to those muscles that were used during the squat exercises, while those sectors that do not need the energy and the blood, like, it was taken away from it. So we need to apply stress in order to really see the actual state of the person, to evade this kind of compensatory mechanism, beautiful picture with painted grass. We need the real picture. And in order to see it, we have to do the stress exercises and then scan again. Well, thanks. BioWell is able to do the scan within 20 seconds. So it's not a big deal to repeat scans multiple times. In BioWell software, you can easily get it, and then you can see the deviation. For example, if I go to the BioWell software tab and I analyze 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 scans made within 5 minutes, we can see that, yeah, the percentage, even in lifestyle tab, is oscillating. It's not standing still. So for example, here it's 70% for physical activity, then it's 72. Here it's already 78, then it's 71. If we go to the compare mode, we will see that each sphere has its own range of oscillation. So the normal range for you. So for me, you see that the physical activity, the Dantian sphere of lifestyle, is between 70 and 80%. And yeah, this is true. My work is mainly in front of the computer. And you can see that these two scans that I've made right after the squats, doing 50 squats, they didn't actually drastically change the values for the lifestyle assessment. So the values stayed in the same ranges. So yeah, the environment is one of the best, like no, it's the best in my case, while the psychological is oscillating between 80 and 90%, the sleeping regime between 75 and 85, etc. So for each person, this oscillation is in its own range. There is no problem in this oscillation. We are living beings, and of course, the reply of our hand and the meridian system should vary depending how many times you scan, under which conditions you scan. And as long as we are living beings, we are able to compensate the problems for some amount of time, and in some cases, the problems will get revealed. But by doing the multiple scans before and after exercises, you can actually see if there is a problem for the person and what is the top priority for the person. In my case, the top priority is my dantian and lower back, right? So the physical activity, yeah, sitting too much. I know. But for example, if we talk about the reproducibility of the scans and the deviation, we can see, for example, that the 6 scans before, 4 before squat, 2 after doing squat, and I can even add the recent scan that I made just in front of you. You can see that most of the sectors, they stand at the same spot, but still there is a deviation for some of the sectors, while they still stay in the green zone. It's not the fault of the device. If you scan the metal cylinder instead of the finger, you will see that the results will be much more reproducible. They will be 97, 98, 99% balance, alignment of all the nervous centers. While we as living beings, we are oscillating. Our mind is floating. We are changing our perception, our concentration, the ideas that pop up in our mind, then start some processes in our body, and some endocrine system reacts to our thoughts, and different chemistry happens there, and the chemicals are being injected into our bloodstream, etc., etc. So if we return back to the software, to our presentation about the lifestyle, we can see by making multiple scans and by applying squats. For example, in my case, squats didn't really change the conclusions. So everything stayed the same. So for me, these squats and these exercises didn't open any secrets. But in some cases, you will do the scan and one of the spheres will react more than others to the physical exercises. And this is the place where you need to pay attention to. I know that many people are saying that, oh yeah, well, we do the scan within 5 minutes and we get different results. But these results depend not on the biowell, but on the person. You take a stable person and you analyze 6 scans in a row and you will get this picture where everything is oscillating quite in a minimal range. While another person, you scan 8 times in a row and you get absolutely different picture with very high variability, not in the green zone, with some of the nervous centers or chakras even going to the red zone. So it depends on the person who is being analyzed. So please don't be afraid of repeating the scans, because actually the more scans you do, the more information you extract from the person, because it's not about the value of 70 or 77 or 90. It's more about the stability of these centers in time. So from my perspective, and also you know that in TCM, traditional Chinese medicine, they say that the balance is much more important than the energy level of the organ or system or meridian. It means that you need to balance the system first, and the value will get corrected itself. Same story here. If you do the multiple scans for the person, you apply stress, you ask to do the squats, okay, not 50, but 5 or 20, it doesn't matter how many the person can do in order to get stressed, and you do the scans again and see what will react to this stress more. This is the reaction of adaptation, and adaptation is about your health and wellness. And biowell with the scan that can be done within those 20 seconds is the fastest tool on this planet to do such type of analysis. Please don't be afraid of the deviation, because the deviation is actually the essence and the key to the correct interpretation in biowell. The variability of the results is very important, and it in many cases is even more important than the average value of energy for this organ or system. If the variability is too high, this is the problematic area for this person. So in order to see the variability, you have to repeat the scans. So please don't be afraid of repeating the scans. Biowell use is about monitoring. And lifestyle tab that we have here, it just makes it much easier for you to do the some conclusions and make it faster without going to specific sectors and parameters. And even though you don't know about the existence of pineal gland or hypothalamus or gallbladder, you can still use the biowell, you can still do the assessment, and you can see which sphere of lifestyle has the lowest values, has the highest variability in between multiple scans. And well, in one case, you can just redirect the person to a corresponding health professional, nutritionist, yoga teacher, psychologist, or environmental specialist, etc. Or you can try to help this person yourself. So there are so many ways of application, and biowell is about monitoring, and lifestyle tab just makes all these dirty work for you. It analyzes all the tabs, it calculates for you all the percentages, and gives you the estimate for 6 spheres. As at the end of my presentation, I want to tell you a story that the recommendations that we are sharing about healthy lifestyle are being proposed by a renowned doctor, medical doctor, and also at the same moment homeopath in Dubai, who is healing people from very, very severe stages of illnesses. And her approach is completely based on the lifestyle changes. So it doesn't matter with what kind of problem you come to this doctor. If you follow the healthy lifestyle, your body will heal itself well with some help of that practitioner, with some detoxification, etc., etc. But following the healthy lifestyle leads to better health. So by doing the scans and the BioWell, you can get that guru golden medal of the holistic lifestyle if you have all 6 spheres in purple. If you have such cases in your database, please share. We are happy to listen how these people live, those gurus of healthy, holistic lifestyle. So I thank you all for your attention. I hope that from now on, the BioWell lifestyle tab is more easy to use and more understandable for you. And continue using BioWell, and I hope to see you tomorrow, because this is the last presentation for today. We try to be user-friendly. We don't want you to sit for too long. We are taking care of your dantian. So you see that we have finished just within like 4 hours. It's quite good. You have time to take rest, to do physical exercises and relax. And hope to see you tomorrow. We have more interesting speakers and presentations tomorrow. Again, it's going to be short, within those 4.5 hours only. And that's it. Thank you all very much for being with us today, and see you tomorrow.